Today, I'm going to help you understand how to make money on a vacation rental property. How do you make money on a vacation rental property? Is there a magic formula to follow that guarantees that you'll make money? I wouldn't necessarily call it a magic formula, but there are guidelines and processes that can ensure you success. And by the end of the video, I'll show you exactly how to do that. I love vacation rentals. I said that before, I'll say it again. I own 6 of them currently right now in different areas throughout the United States, and they're awesome. And I've seen decent success on those. Matter of fact, I've seen those 6 vacation rentals outperform a lot of my other real estate investments. And I've learned a few things over the years by owning those that I think have helped me be in a position that help others maybe get started on the right foot when it comes to vacation rentals. And I want to show you exactly how to do that. So first off, I'll talk about why they make money, but also how to find and research them. Secondly, I'll pull back the financial curtain and give you some tips that will make life a little bit easier when owning a vacation rental property. And finally, I'll share with you some insights that will increase your revenue and profit instantly. If you're ready, let's go. So why are vacation rental properties moneymakers in the first place? Well, as you've seen, there's a high demand for people to vacation. And when they vacation, they want an experience. They want something unique. They want something different. They don't want the cookie cutter, stay in a hotel, take a family, and everybody stay in the exact same room. If you think about it, it's just not ideal. It's not that fun. You don't get the best night's sleep. Sometimes people are cranky. Some people are snoring. Some people are getting up in the night. You want the ability to experience your vacation, and you want to be able to decompress, right? That's why you go on vacation, is you want to relax. You want to break away from the stress and the challenges that are in everyday life, and you can actually go and experience something. And I'm a huge believer in investing in experiences. If you can invest in experiences with your family, with your kids, creating those type of memories, those are things that'll last forever. Stuff that money otherwise couldn't buy. So spending money on these things and going on vacations, it's not just my idea, but the demand to do that is growing every single year. And I even remember when COVID first happened, a lot of people were like, man, nobody's traveling, everybody's staying home, everybody's bottled up, which is true. However, there was a gentleman that I worked with. I remember he told me, he said, listen, I'm getting out of the city. I'm going to go rent this Airbnb. It's out in the country a little ways, and I'm going to stay there for the next 3 months. Matter of fact, one of our vacation rentals up near Yellowstone, it's being rented for the entire month of April, which is pretty unique. That hardly ever happens. We maybe get a couple nights in April, but they're staying there every single night in April because it's a group of snowmobilers. They're testing different products for Polaris. And so it's kind of cool to see some of those things happening. And those are the type of things that can happen with vacation rental, is even if things are going on like COVID or challenges or seasonality, you can have experiences where people might visit there and stay there anyway because of something unique that's happening in the world or with their industry. Are there ways to make money regardless? Absolutely. With vacation rentals, just because of the demand to get away and vacation. The other thing is vacation rentals are money makers. I mean, I remember when I first bought out an apartment complex, I thought I'd made it, right? We're making $20,000 a month. Obviously, there was a mortgage and lots of expenses associated with that. And I was like, oh my goodness. And this is a while ago, but $20,000 a month on an apartment complex was awesome. I got this vacation rental near Yellowstone, and our best month ever was last July at $38,000 in 1 month. And that's just one door, one unit, not 46 units and 46 different people I had to worry about. There was maybe 5 people during that month that stayed there, and it still produced one of the biggest income producing months that I've ever seen on a rental, especially a short-term rental. So now let's talk about what research is required in order for you to make money on your vacation rental property. First thing is you got to search the areas. What I like to do, what I did is I went and searched Google to find out the best places to own a vacation rental property. I started to watch and see which areas started bubbling to the top in multiple publications. I then cross-referenced that with visitors to that area annually to make sure that the data added up, right? That it wasn't just some fancy area that people liked that said, hey, this is an up-and-coming area, or maybe they got paid a little bit of money from that city or that chamber of commerce in order to promote their city for people, but actually the numbers matched up, right? Now, once I had those areas, I wanted to compare the data, the actual data. So I would always compare with AirDNA, airdna.co. It's a huge company, a data company that gets numbers from vacationers, hosts, property management companies, and they compile that data on a free platform. Now, there are plans that you can pay a lot more to get a lot more data, but 3 or 4 areas that I really look at is nightly stays, right? Like occupancy rate, what the nightly revenue amount is each month, and what the annual revenue is, or RevPAR. RevPAR is the revenue per available rental, and it's calculated by dividing the total revenue earned by the number of rentals available in that area. A lot of times the hotel industry, hospitality industry utilize this figure, this RevPAR, to help them understand potential and available revenue to be earned. Other things you have to look at when you're doing your research is regulations, right? Does the area allow for short-term rentals, vacation rentals? Are there any issues? I would do research to find out any news articles. If there's any issues with short-term rentals or any low local regulations that might make it difficult to have a long-term rental, or if things are going to change. You need to understand that, because if you get a vacation rental in an area that changes things, it could be a nightmare for you and your vacation rental. So make sure you do your due diligence on areas and the regulations in that area. Obviously, it has to be close proximity to attractions, right? You've got to look at the number of visitors that go there year in and year out. I was doing some research just yesterday, actually, on some of the national parks. One that I've been intrigued about in an area that I've really started to look into is up in Maine, close to Acadia National Park, and it's a city called Bar Harbor. Now, Bar Harbor is a really small town. The first article that popped up said, can Bar Harbor handle the amount of visitors that are coming year in and year out with this growing number of visitors and demand to visit Acadia National Park? And I think last year there was 3.5 million people that visited Acadia National Park. That's a huge number. That's close to like Yellowstone and Yosemite numbers, right? And Bar Harbor is a really small town. So the demand is actually there. And as I looked at Airbnbs to potentially stay there, if I ever wanted to, or see what rates were going at, you had bedrooms, just bedrooms that were being rented out for $200 to $300 a night. Full homes were being rented out for $1,000 a night. And these are just small cottages. So the demand is there, which increases the prices. People that have homes there are probably doing really, really well. So understanding attractions and area and numbers will help you understand if there's a demand or not. Obviously, you've got to understand seasonality. There's going to be highs and lows in any area. And if the highs can outweigh the lows, obviously you're in a good situation, but you need to understand that. And there's things you can do to weigh out and to even out the seasonality, whether you lower your prices or do a discount for longer stays. Those are some things that you can do. Obviously, another important aspect is, can you afford the area, right? If your budget's X and everything in that area is above your budget, you need to look elsewhere, right? Pretty much common sense, but something you have to consider. And you want to look at established areas. Obviously, if there are too many short-term rentals there, if it's saturated, it might be hard for you to make money, especially if it's your first one, unless there's a unique property that you have access to or you can buy, or you understand something, or you've watched enough of these videos to understand the things you can do to really set your property apart from other ones out there. You've got to understand optimal size of the house that's being rented in the area, right? Is it 3 bedrooms, 3 bath? Is it 1 bedroom, 1 bath? Is it a 7 bedroom, 5 bath, right? So understanding the optimal size will help you understand that. Obviously, when the property was built can determine whether you put a lot of money into fixing up the property or if you have low maintenance for many years to come. And I think another important one is understanding your guest profile. Who are you marketing to? Who is going to be coming to your property, and how do you get your property in front of their eyes more often? Now let's talk about the numbers. How do we make the numbers work? And here's a general rule of thumb that I use on all of my vacation rentals, short-term rentals. What this does, it allows me just from a glance to say, this is something I want to look into even more, or something I completely want to avoid. And it's this simple. Whatever the purchase price is, the annual rents need to be at least 10%. At least 10%. So if you got a property that's $400,000 and annual rents are $40,000, that allows me to say, okay, I can do more research and look into this to see if I can either increase the occupancy rate or increase the nightly stays or increase the overall revenue, right? It doesn't mean you buy it, especially in today's economy with interest rates being as high as they are, but it just says this checks that box off. But even better than that, if annual rents are 15% of purchase price, even better, right? So you got a property that costs $400,000 and annual rents are $60,000, awesome, right? That's one that you could probably move forward with, but do your research. And the best one, if annual rents are 20% of purchase price, so your $400,000 property, if it's generating $80,000, that's when you seriously want to consider. I've looked at a few recently close to Myrtle Beach, Myrtle's Inlet, and there's a handful of condos that are $200,000, $225,000 that are generating close to $40,000 in annual income. And those are pretty exciting. Now, there's a lot of factors that go into that. There's a huge HOA fee for some of these condos or places, but it's at least a starting point to do additional research. Another thing to consider with vacation rentals is appreciation. If you're in a high demand area and you're kind of, especially on the initial side of investing in a vacation rental in an area that's starting to go up, that's a great place to be, because appreciation is going to raise the value of your property instantly. Now, these are general rule of thumbs. As I said, it allows you to have the numbers to say, okay, this looks decent, but I need to do additional research. It's not the end all be all, right? To really get the end all be all, I'd recommend a short-term or vacation rental calculator that really gives everything for you. You put in all the numbers, all the expenses, and it spits out for you whether it's a good deal or not. That's probably the most comprehensive way to really get a good financial analysis of a good deal or not. So now that you have a vacation rental property, how can you make even more money with it, right? Let's say you're stuck at a certain place and you want to raise the annual revenue from X amount by 10%, 15%. Is it possible to do that? It absolutely is. And here's some things, some hacks that can help you get there. Number one is increasing the occupancy rate. Here's something that's important. If you find that there's times that you don't have a lot of visitors, that's when you need to utilize dynamic pricing, right? So if you have seasonality and you know during this time of May, between May 1st to May 15th in Orlando, Florida, there's going to be a lot less people visiting, you might need to bring the price down to a 40, 50% discount just to get people in there. Because think about it, as long as you have people in there, that's money coming in that you wouldn't have had otherwise. Having it vacant, sometimes that's not a bad thing for some cleaning or some other things, but most of the time that is a bad thing. So dynamic pricing, and And also being on Facebook pages that are associated with areas where your vacation rental is. Like I'm on all the Facebook pages for Blue Ridge, Georgia, for Island Park, Idaho, for Broken Bow, Oklahoma, for Orlando, Florida, Kissimmee, Windsor at Westside. Because honestly, if something does happen where I get a cancellation, if I could put on that Facebook page really quick and say, hey, we've had a very unique situation. Normally we're fully booked at this time, but we had somebody cancel last minute. We're allowing you to rent this out at a discounted price. I've seen so many times where people have raised their hands. There's 10, 15, 20 comments of people getting involved in there. Plus it's free advertising for people to see your site. So that's one thing that can raise the money that you make every single year on your vacation rental by understanding dynamic pricing and where to post times when you have more vacancies on Facebook pages associated with the area that your vacation rental is located. And obviously there's things you can do that just make your place unique and a fun place to stay. An outdoor theater screen is getting more and more popular. An ice cream maker. We have hot dog machines in a lot of our rentals. Just anything that makes it unique that might be something where people might pay a little bit of extra money. Now, obviously, if you're completely filled up during certain times of the year, raising your price just a little bit will also increase your revenue until you start seeing that the market says, I'm not willing to pay that price. You can come down a little bit. So being on top of it on a monthly basis is really important. Now, here's the last thing. Here's a few services you can offer that can be add-ons to increase the revenue for your vacation rental. You can do for an extra fee a later checkout. Most people have checkout at 10, but if you did something a little bit later, you might offer that at an extra price, $50 or $100. But just knowing you're probably gonna have to pay your cleaners a little bit more to do that. If you allow pets, there might be an extra charge for pets to stay there. I'd be really cautious with that. I'd keep it between the smaller breeds, but it's completely up to you. But that's something you can do. People are very serious about traveling with their pets. And so you need to have accommodations for that. But that is something you can charge extra money for. Extra rentals, if you had bikes, if you have canoes, if you have paddle boards, all these things available at your cabin that you can rent out for an extra price, that's something that will help raise your revenue as well. A private chef, if you know somebody in the area, it's a great way to employ somebody local in the area, but also provide a service that people want. I went to Belize with some friends and we stayed at an Airbnb that had a private chef available and we paid them to cook dinners for us each night, just dinners. It was amazing. Some of the best food I've ever had, well worth the extra money we spent. And finally, just to close out, I will say be careful about upsells. You don't want everything to be an upsell. When you get it, you want to provide an experience and maybe have minimal upsells that you know are important to people that they'd have to pay money for elsewhere anyway, and you provide that for them, they're happy to pay you that money. Now, these are some things that I've done that have worked well for me, but I'd love to hear your feedback. Please comment, share your thoughts and insight. And as I mentioned in the video, you need a short-term rental calculator to help you do the financial analysis of buying a property. And I actually have one of those for you completely free of charge. All you have to do is click on the link below. No frills, no gimmicks, aaron'sfreetraining.com. Click on that and you'll have that short-term rental calculator, vacation rental calculator available for you at no charge. Once again, thanks for stopping by. Have an amazing day.